Hello everyone, Cindy here with Monarch Mom DIY. Thank you so much for joining me today on my channel where I love to bring you the best tips and tools to inspire you to create beautiful home decor on a budget. Today I'm here with 4 brand new Valentine's home decor DIYs, so let's get crafting. For today's first DIY, we're going to make this mason jar sign with Valentine hearts using a frame, some giant craft sticks, this wooden mason jar from Walmart, and some of these felt Valentine heart stickers from Dollar Tree. So the first thing I'm doing is taking my Waverly antique wax. I am just wanting to darken up the wood from this frame. So I'm going to brush my antique wax on the front and the inside and outside, and then we'll take a paper towel and we will wipe away the excess to leave a nice dark wood stained look. Next, I needed about 14 of these giant craft sticks to cover the back of the frame. So I'm trying a new method here where I'm just laying them out side by side, and then I'm going to run 3 pieces of painter's tape. You could use masking tape just to hold them all together while I paint them. Usually I will paint each individual stick, but I thought this might save some time holding them all together. I've seen other crafters do this and it really does work pretty well. So once I have my 3 pieces of tape, I flipped them over and I'm going to give them a coat of my white Waverly chalk paint. Once my paint was dry, I wanted to give my sticks a little bit of a distressed look. So while they were still taped together, I took my little sander and I'm just running it up and down along the sticks. You can do as little or as much of this as you'd like. Then take that tape off of the back to free up all of your individually painted giant craft sticks. Now we're going to turn over our frame to the back, and one at a time we're going to hot glue these giant craft sticks across the back of our frame to give this a nice kind of shiplap wood look. I found this mason jar sign at Walmart in the craft section. It was $3.47, I believe, and it has this little raised area. So I'm just taking a Sharpie marker and going around the raised parts. You could paint the base of the jar if you'd like, but I kind of wanted to leave mine the neutral color so that the red and pink of the hearts would stand out. Then taking a little bit of black and white baker's twine, I am gluing it to the back of the mason jar, and I'm going to wrap it just a few times around this top portion of the wooden jar. Next, I also decided to take a double strand of the same baker's twine and just tie a simple bow that will then glue to the top of the jar as well. Next, I'll apply hot glue to the back of the mason jar, and we'll attach this to the inside towards the bottom of our sign that we covered with the craft sticks. Now I'm showing here a variety of some of the heart stickers that I have from Dollar Tree. I decided just to go with the simple felt ones, but I know they also have glittery ones as well. So I'm just going to lay out these pink and red felt heart stickers. They're in 3 different sizes, and I want to make it look like the jar is full of hearts and then they're kind of bursting out at the top. So this is where you can be creative. You can do as few or as many of these hearts as you'd like. You could even take some of the 3D hearts that are on sticks and maybe cut those in half and have them more 3-dimensional coming off of your sign. And here's the finished project. I love how it turned out. You could definitely take this idea and scale it down smaller or even bigger if you wanted. If you're stopping by my channel for the first time today, welcome. I'm so glad that you found me. I hope you'll consider sticking around by hitting that subscribe button. I hope everyone will hit the bell and make sure your notifications are set to all, so YouTube should let you know each time I go live on my channel or upload new content. If you are a returning viewer or subscriber, thank you so much for coming back each and every week and your continued support of my channel. DIY number 2 is a little bit of a different one, but I do love how it turned out. I'm using some of these brass wreath rings, some of this chunky white yarn from Walmart, some bottle lights, and a couple other items. So I bought 4 packs of these 3-piece rings. So this would give me 4 rings in each of the 3 sizes. Now I'm actually only going to end up making the smallest of these, and I will make the medium and larger ones at another time, but I just wanted to give you the idea with the smallest rings. So I'm going to use all 4 of those smallest rings for the next step of the project. So taking this chunky yarn, I think actually this is ivory because they were out of white. I am hot gluing it and I'm wrapping it around the ring. I'm going to do this to all 4 of the rings. It's not difficult. It does take a little bit of time, but you'll see here, I'll just cut a length of the yarn. I'll put a little bit of hot glue on the metal ring and I will wrap the yarn around it until I get it completely covered. So here, just laying on some hot glue, wrapping the yarn like 3 or 4 times, and then unraveling it to get ready to do the next little section. Once I had all 4 of my rings covered, I'm going to take 2 of them and I'm going to tuck one inside the other. I'm going to use some white zip ties from Dollar Tree and secure them together. So I used 2 zip ties at the top and 2 at the bottom to try to keep them as much at 90 degrees as possible. Then once I have those 2 secured, we'll trim the ends of the zip ties, and then we will tuck rings 3 and 4 also into our shape, one going inside and the other one going outside, so that we have a sphere made out of these 4 rings. Now, once I had all 4 of my rings zip tied together into a sphere, I'm taking a set of these bottle lights. So it's got the little like cork looking stopper. I'm kind of holding that on the top here, and I'm going to wrap the lights about 3 times around each of the sections, I guess, of the sphere until we get to the end of the strand. Next, I have this little pencil cup or pin cup from Dollar Tree. This is going to be kind of like the base. I was originally going to have this be the top and have them kind of hang, but then as I was zip tying it on, it's got the little topper for the lights, so the switch is in there. I'm gluing that to the inside, and then I'm zip tying this pencil cup or pin cup also to the sphere that we've made. I just used 2 zip ties to secure that on. So like I said, I was originally going to make these hang, but then once I had this pin cup zip tied on, I realized I liked it better as a stand, so that it was a stand and the sphere was on top of it, and you'll see what I mean here in just a second. So here you can see I have the pin cup on the bottom, and I took 2 of these chalkboard hearts from Magnolia. I decided to glue these at the top, a red on one side and a dark pink on the other, and then I'm going to kind of glue them together there at the top. So it's a lighted Valentine decor. I am going to make the other 2 sides. I love that I was able to bring in the teal as well. For DIY number 3, we're going to make a little wooden flower box using 2 of these new love signs I found at Dollar Tree, some tumbling tower blocks, and some 5-gallon paint sticks. I originally was going to use those bottles, but you'll see I ended up needing to use salt shakers instead, as the bottles were a little bit too large. So I cut my 5-gallon paint sticks. I believe it was at about 10 inches, and just used my saw and miter box to cut those. These will be the base of our box. For the 2 ends of our box, I'm taking 3 tumbling tower blocks and wood gluing those together, 3 for each end of our box. I really loved these little wood holders when I saw them at Dollar Tree. I knew I wanted to paint them and use them for a flower box. So I'm taking some painter's tape and I'm just marking off the bottom of the word love. My plan is to, on both sides of each of these, I'm going to paint the hearts and the straight piece at the bottom with my crimson Waverly chalk paint. So that's why I'm taping off the word love, because I'm going to use my dark teal chalk paint called Peacock to paint the word love. So I'm doing this on both sides, front and back of each of these signs. I am also going to paint inside all the letters and on the top and sides of this MDF sign. Like I said, these paint stick pieces are going to be the bottom of our box. So I'm going to take that same red chalk paint called Crimson and paint all of the sides and edges of these 2 paint sticks. Now that our red is dry on our tabletop decor, I'm going to take painter's tape again, and this time I'm going to tape off where the red is so that I can now paint the word love with the dark teal called Peacock. And like I said, we'll do this front, back, and inside all of the letters as well. Now, once all of our pieces are painted, including the 2 sets of tumbling tower blocks, I am going to secure the base of the box by gluing the 2 sets of tumbling tower blocks on the ends. So I did not glue the 2 paint sticks together. I'm just holding them together by those tumbling tower block ends. Then I'm going to use wood glue also on the bottom of my 2 tabletop decor here. And these are going to be the 2 long sides of this flower box. So we're going to glue those on. It is wood glue, so make sure you let them dry completely. Now that space between the 2 signs was too small for my originally planned bottles, but thankfully I was able to get some salt and pepper shakers from Dollar Tree. I just hot glued a little bit of that black and white checked ribbon around the thread part of each of the shakers. And then I'm just adding in a little bit of white and green with this Baby's Breath floral to finish off this project. And here's our finished project. I love it. And you could actually even put real flowers in these glass jars if you'd like. If you're on Facebook, I would love it if you would follow my Monarch Mom DIY Facebook page. I go live there 3 times a week doing different projects than I'm doing here on YouTube. For today's last DIY, we're going to make this standing pallet love sign using 4 of these wood pallets from Dollar Tree, some letters from Hobby Lobby or whatever you have, some scrapbook paper, and a few tumbling tower blocks or Jenga blocks. So I'm taking first of all my pallets and I'm going to give them one good coat everywhere on every little crevice, front, back, inside with my crimson chalk paint. Then I'm going to paint these letters that I got from Hobby Lobby. They come 2 in a pack for, I believe, $1.29. I'm just using L, V, and E. I'm going to use one of the wicker or grapevine hearts from Dollar Tree for the O for this project. Next, I measured the front of my palette and it measures about 4 inches by 6 inches. So I chose 4 of my Valentine scrapbook papers from Hobby Lobby and I'm going to cut one 4x6 piece from each of these 4 scrapbook papers. Next, I'm going to take my matte finish Mod Podge and I'm going to give each of the 4 palette pieces a good coat of the matte finish Mod Podge, and we're going to let this dry completely because we're going to use the iron method for decoupaging the paper on. So that Mod Podge is dry now. We're going to put the piece of scrapbook paper over, place a piece of parchment, and then we're going to iron this. The heat from the iron should reactivate the Mod Podge that will then glue the paper to the top of the palette. This worked pretty well. I noticed this paper was a little bit thicker. This works really well, especially with napkins, but I'm thinking the thicker the paper, the harder it is to get this method to work. But it did work pretty well. So we're going to iron on all 4 of our pieces of scrapbook paper. Then taking my little fingertip Fisker's knife, I made little slits there because now I have to sand the paper away from where the spaces are in the palette. So this little sander actually works really well for this. I think it was helpful though to get it started by making those slits with the knife. But just keep sanding back and forth until you get all of those spaces cleared. Then I did put another layer of Mod Podge over the top of my scrapbook papers. Once our Mod Podge was completely dry, I am now just taking some hot glue and I'm going to glue my black letters and my grapevine heart onto the front of my palettes. I love the bright colors of this. Of course, you could take this idea and you could spell the word home and use different colors for something that you could keep up all year long, or just change out the color scheme for what better fits your style. This was super easy to do, and we have one last step so that we can be able to make these stand. You could attach them all to each other and be able to hang this if you wanted. I wanted them to be able to stand freely, so I'm painting 4 Jenga blocks with that same crimson chalk paint, and we're going to hot glue them like this to make a little bit of a stand. So like I said, these could stand up on their own. And here they are, all able to stand on their own. Like I said, you could just attach these 4 together, add some jute twine, and be able to hang it on the wall instead. Thanks so much again for joining me today. Please let me know in the comments which of these projects was your favorite, and we'll see you next time. Take care.